Well, good evening once again. Day 1267 of this Trump administration. That leaves 117 days to go until the presidential election. Over 800 of our fellow citizens died of the coronavirus just today. The U.S. continues to lead the world by a large margin, at least on the coronavirus front. Donald Trump today called his hometown, New York City, a hellhole. This may have something to do with that. The words Black Lives Matter in yellow paint on Fifth Avenue in front of Trump Tower. On the political front, the president's push to get children back into school is sinking in among families who are debating the safety of it, depending on where they live, teachers as well. On the judicial front, the president's closely guarded finances were at the center of two Supreme Court rulings today, decisions that lay down firm markers on the scope and limits of executive power. And they do force Trump to extend his battle to keep that information private. The rulings came on the last day of the court's term. In one case, the justices cleared the way for the Manhattan DA, Cyrus Vance, to see Trump's financial documents himself, which had been subpoenaed by a grand jury as part of that investigation into the hush money payments to two women who claimed they had affairs with Trump. The president has denied those allegations still. In the other case, House Democrats were blocked from getting their hands on many of the same records, including Trump's tax returns. The Supreme Court sent that case back to lower courts for further review. The New York case will also return to lower federal jurisdictions, which means it's unlikely that voters are going to see these records before the election. The court voted 7-2 in both cases, with Trump appointees Gorsuch and Kavanaugh joining the 7-vote majority. The opinions for both cases were written by the chief, John Roberts, who said, quote, "No citizen, not even the president, is categorically above the common duty to produce evidence when called upon in a criminal proceeding." The White House tried to portray the decisions as a victory for the president, but he felt otherwise. He made that clear, posting several responses on social media with the usual messages, including the words prosecutorial misconduct, and he later added this.
Well, the rulings were basically starting all over again, sending everything back down to the lower courts, and you start all over again. And this is a political witch hunt, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. It's a pure witch hunt. It's a hoax, just like the Mueller investigation was a hoax that I won. And this is another hoax. This is purely political.
Late tonight, within the past few hours, the president continued to rail against the IRS and against the nation's high court decision in an interview with Fox News host Sean Hannity.
I'm under tax audit. I have been for a long period of time. We made a deal a long time ago, and once I ran for politics, that deal was like we didn't make it. It's a disgrace what's happened. We had a deal done. In fact, I guess it was signed even. And once I ran or once I won or somewhere back a long time ago, everything was like, well, let's start all over again.
Certainly has been a lengthy tax audit. Trump's attorney general also weighed in with a response that revealed just how much he's been keeping an eye on these cases as they've moved through the courts.
We were disappointed in the decision to the extent it did not accept our argument, the government's argument about the extent of the president's immunity. There are protections and defenses that can be raised. So the case has now been remanded to the lower court where some of the issues will be addressed.
Meanwhile, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the ruling was by no means a defeat for her side.
We have a path that the Supreme Court has laid out that we certainly will not ignore, and we will never stop our oversight. The victory is for the Constitution of the United States.
In the meantime, we remain in the midst of a pandemic, and as we mentioned, the number of coronavirus cases in our country continues to climb. Over 56,400 new cases diagnosed today. We're now at over 3.1 million confirmed infections, well north of 133,000 American lives lost. New York Times reports that the surge in cases likely being fueled by states that moved to reopen too early, particularly Florida, Arizona, South Carolina, Texas. Dr. Anthony Fauci spoke out again today about this situation, refuting what he's been hearing from the White House.
I don't think you can say we're doing great. I mean, we're just not.
And tonight, just to keep things even, during his Fox News interview, the president took a swipe at Fauci.
Dr. Fauci's a nice man, but he's made a lot of mistakes. Like, you don't have to ban him coming in from very infected China. I did it anyway, and we saved hundreds of thousands of lives. They've been wrong about a lot of things, including face masks. Maybe they're wrong, maybe not, but a lot of them said, don't wear a mask, don't wear a mask, and now they're saying wear a mask. So a lot of mistakes were made.
There is also still this question surrounding the question of when and how to reopen schools. Yesterday, the vice president indicated the CDC would be revising school guidelines after the president complained about them. Here's the vice president from his remarks yesterday, and we'll follow it with the CDC director, Robert Redfield, from today.
The president said today we just don't want the guidance to be too tough. And that's the reason why next week CDC is going to be issuing a new set of tools, 5 different documents that will be giving even more clarity on the guidance going forward.
I want to clarify, really what we're providing is different reference documents. So our guidelines are our guidelines. I think it's really important. It's not a revision of the guidelines.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.